Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
Air.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura. And we're sisters who watch everything TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even dramatic retellings of a sports shoe's origin story.
That's right.
We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
Air. Ben Affleck's take on Nike beating the odds and signing Michael Jordan to one of the biggest shoe deals of all time.
Of all time, yes. So Shelby, you nailed it right on the head. Yeah, let's talk about the background of this movie. It's a biopic, basically, retelling the story of how Michael Jordan got this iconic deal with Nike that was unprecedented.
Truly unprecedented. And I'm sure you all know Air Jordan's Nike, very popular. So I know we are both intrigued to see what this movie was all about. It focuses on the origin of Nike's Air Jordan shoe. And as we said, signing Michael Jordan, who'd become one of the biggest NBA players of all time. And what's interesting is I feel like typical sports movies focus on a game or focus on a particular player. And this was focused on like the executives at Nike who were behind signing Michael Jordan, coming up with the idea of Air Jordan. So it was very fascinating that it wasn't typically only about an athlete or a team, but it focused on the executives. So it was set, at the Nike headquarters in Oregon most of the time.
Yeah, it was an interesting take. And I know that some people were like, why is this movie about Michael Jordan focused on all these, white people at Nike? But it wasn't really about Michael Jordan necessarily. The movie was really about the deal that took place. So it was definitely an interesting take. And we're gonna share all of our opinions. So that's a bit of the background. And yeah, this is another time Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are working together. Iconic Hollywood duo.
For those of you that don't know, they actually knew each other growing up in Boston and got their start, and I would say are mostly known for winning an Oscar for writing Good Will Hunting, a movie from the 90s. If y'all haven't seen it, it's really good. It's
really good.
A drama set in Boston, and I highly recommend if you've not seen it. And it's great to see Ben and Matt working together again.
Yeah, iconic Hollywood duo. They always have something, a unique, fun story to tell. So I know there's a lot of anticipation that they're working together again. So yeah, that was also cool to see. And another interesting tidbit about Shelby and I and this movie is that we actually saw this in Greece together.
Surprise! When we were in Crete on vacation, we actually went to a Cretan movie theater and saw Air. It was showing in English with Greek subtitles, so very easy for us to watch. And it was so cool, really cool to see it in another country. And we just had an amazing time in Greece overall.
Yeah, yes, we are sisters who travel. This has been our 4th sister trip, international sister trip. So it was so fun. We had a great time. We spent most of our time in Crete, which is where we saw the movie, but we also went to Santorini and Athens. It was a wonderful, wonderful trip. And it was cool to see.
Highly recommend going to Greece.
Yeah, highly recommend. And it was also really cool to see a movie in another country. I don't think I'd done that before. I know that you had done that before in Prague, right?
When I studied abroad in Prague, I went to see Lady Macbeth at a classic Czech theater. And that movie actually was what introduced Florence Pugh to most of the world. It was like an indie movie. She was the star, like a badass in it, kind of scary. And now she's like a household name. So I feel like I kind of knew about her before she was cool.
Look at you. Yeah, seeing movies abroad keeps you ahead of the times.
Yes.
So yes. Okay, so that's a little bit background about us and the movie. So Shelby, tell me, what were you expecting coming into the film?
Yeah, I mean, Air Jordans and Nike shoes are so popular. So
insanely popular.
like I feel like Nike is by far the coolest, most popular shoe brand of our
Mm-hmm.
generation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just curious to understand like how that came to be. It's like the history major in me. I was like, ooh, like what's the history behind this? And I think it delivered. Like it was really cool to see how they like beat the odds and weren't the like big shoe company at the time,
No.
like in the 70s. Like they were behind Adidas, they were behind Converse. Like it was crazy to see that Converse was like the big shoe of the
Oh yeah.
NBA. Like, can you imagine that now? It's nuts. So I was just curious for their take on the history and learning more about Nike.
Yeah, definitely the history major in you. Enjoyed
Right.
that. And I agree. Coming into it, I was intrigued to see how they were going to dress it. You know, Michael Jordan, there's so many stories on him. And of course, The Last Dance recently came out a couple years ago, and everyone was watching that. So I was intrigued to see a new take on Michael Jordan, and it wasn't really about him, it was about the shoe deal. But I was excited to see their take. And yeah, I own too many Nikes, and I know that you also own so many as well. So
It's true.
it was
Guilty.
interesting in the beginning how they talked about how Nike had a single digit percentage of the
Shoe
NBA shoe
sales.
market, shoe
Yeah.
sales. So that was really cool. So you were like, how did Nike start here?
Yeah.
And now it's so dominant. So
Wild.
I was intrigued. I was excited to
Yes.
see how the story would unfold and how they explored that.
What's interesting is when we saw it in Greece, the theater had like a lot of young men, like
Yeah,
teenage boys, probably because of the popularity of Nike shoes and the
for
basketball
sure.
angle. So clearly, fans of basketball shoes or and basketball were in the theater with us.
Yeah. Um, definitely, yeah. Lots of young, there were but a big group of young boys who were like, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan. Yeah, they're really
Yes.
excited.
They're like clapping
Um,
when he was on screen.
yeah, that was so funny. And I think this movie, what was interesting, it is a sports film, but it's not, it's more like a dramatic comedy.
It's
Like,
definitely more of
yeah,
like a biography. It's more of
right.
like a biographic film than like a heartwarming sports
Yeah. It's
film.
not your traditional sports
No,
movie.
it's not Remember the Titans. It's not Friday Night
No.
Lights.
No, not at
Yeah.
all. And I remember talking to a friend, another expectation I had going in. She was like, "Oh, this new Michael Jordan movie, it's not even about him. Like it's just all these white people, kind of telling the story of Michael Jordan." So there was, a little controversy, kind of about
Interesting.
that.
I didn't really know
Um,
that.
yeah, I heard that from a friend saying, there's this movie about Michael Jordan that's, not really about him, and it's highlighting all the white people who kind of worked around him. So I was also coming in with that perspective that this was kind of what people were talking about, a critique of the film. So I was also keeping that in mind.
Did
you
you
know
feel that way after watching it?
After watching, I mean, I think Viola Davis plays a pretty big role. And like Chris Tucker is really used as a comedic um person, not really a main character. So it definitely really was about Matt Damon's character. So I understand the critique, but I guess the thing is that it's not really a movie about Michael Jordan, it's a movie about Nike. So I think for that,
Agreed.
I I understand why it centers, these white executives at Nike. So I hear their critique. It definitely could have, the black characters were really the side characters. So I understand the critique, but I do think it was about the Nike deal and not really about Michael Jordan. Like we never even saw the Michael Jordan's face in the movie. What do you think about that choice?
Yeah, I heard Ben Affleck talk about why. Uh, because they were talking about how Michael Jordan's so iconic, and there've been so much about him, and like this,
Yeah,
they wanted this to speak more to like the deal and the inner workings of it all.
right.
Because they did talk to Michael Jordan about the movie, but like, and like got his blessing, but Michael Jordan didn't say like I want this to be on me. So I think they made a purposeful decision, which I actually didn't mind initially. I thought it was weird how we never saw him, but I did think it was an interesting choice to focus on the people you don't always think about, like the mom of the athlete
Right.
or the executives. And I actually think that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the choice to not show his face, I understand why, but it felt like kind of awkward and obvious at some points. I was like, why are we like he's facing the wall? Like it was just kind
Mm-hmm.
of weird. So I thought it was a strange choice, but I think if they edited it better, it wouldn't have been so obvious that they were intentionally not trying to show his face. I didn't love the way that it was portrayed on screen, like hiding his face, blurring his face, stuff like that. I thought it was kind of strange. Um,
No, that makes sense. So
yeah,
should we get into some highlights from the film?
yeah. So talk about some of the main themes.
Yes, love main themes. So, of course, I feel like underdogs was a big main theme, particularly Nike. They spent a lot of time talking about how Nike didn't have a lot of market share. Their basketball division was failing. Matt Damon's character, Sonny, was going to like lose his job possibly, and there was very little likelihood that they were going to be able to sign Michael Jordan, even have a profitable basketball
Right.
shoes business. So they were underdogs. And you know who doesn't love a good underdog story?
Hmm.
Love that. And clearly showed how they were able to beat the odds. And I think that
Definitely.
is what made the movie the most successful.
Yeah, it was a great underdog story. So kind of like how what we were saying, a traditional sports movie is about the underdog. And I think it still kept that theme, which
Yes,
I thought was cool without having, that
agreed.
traditional sports setup. So I thought that was definitely conveyed well. It was shocking to see how Nike was seen as a joke in basketball, and now it dominates basketball. So that was a fun transition.
Really
I
great
think that
scene.
was very successful in the movie, portraying that theme for sure.
And I'd say similar to that, just like beating the odds
Hmm.
and everything was against them. But hey, they were able to sign Michael Jordan. So
Yeah.
I think if you want to feel inspired and if someone counts you out, you can still do it. I think
Yes,
they
for
really
sure.
made that point come across.
Yeah, and Matt Damon's character Sonny, I mean, talk about, being the underdog and doing everything you can to make it happen. He didn't listen to anyone. He
Strong
disobeyed his
personality.
boss
Uh-huh.
constantly. He broke every rule. Um, but he was determined. He
Yes.
was really determined to make it happen. He flew to North Carolina and went to the house to see Michael Jordan and his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
his,
huge.
yeah, it worked. It all worked. So definitely big underdog story. It was that theme was came across super well in the movie. And another really big one is generational wealth.
Tell us about it.
Yes. So, for y'all who may not really be familiar with what generational wealth means, it's basically the money that is inherited and grown throughout each generation in a family. So, specifically within Black Americans, um, we tend not to have as much generational wealth because of slavery, of course. All roads lead to slavery.
It's
And
true,
so
sadly.
yeah, because we weren't owning property, like we were the property, so we weren't able to gain yeah, generational wealth from property ownership. And now a lot of Black people are
And there
renting
wasn't a
and
lot of inheritance, right? Like
right,
there weren't things to pass down.
right,
Uh,
exactly.
Living
Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck, even right then in the 60s and to present, like we don't have a lot of money to our name, right? We don't.
Hmm.
So even when, right, your grandparent dies, what do they have to pass down to you?
Right, exactly. And today, a lot of people are renting. It's a lot harder for a Black person to own a home and get approved for a loan to own a home. So all those factor into why it's a lot harder for Black people in America to inherit generational wealth. And Shelby and I both, already love Viola Davis, and we really thought her character was amazing in this movie.
My favorite actress.
Yeah, same. Viola Davis is definitely my favorite actress, and she really advocated for her son. It was incredible. She ran the show. That's what they all said. They're like, oh, the mom runs the show in the house. The dad's just there. Michael Jordan, he does pretty much whatever his mom says. So it was great to see a powerful Black woman running the show, making decisions and being the point of contact, especially for that time. It was the 80s, 70s, women were definitely, not given the independence and the respect there that we have gotten more of today. So it was really cool to see this Black woman, getting her respect,
For sure.
and making these decisions.
So Deloris Jordan, advocating for Michael in this deal really helped build, that generational wealth for their family.
Yes. And in the end, I liked how the movie showed all these stats saying that Michael Jordan gets, was it $400 million in passive income every year?
I don't remember the exact amount, but it was a lot.
Wild stat. It's millions of dollars in passive income every year because of the deal that his mom got with Nike. Unbelievable. And Matt Damon's character Sonny was like, this is not how deals work. This is not how basketball shoes
had never been a deal like that before.
Exactly. And she was like, no, my son's getting a percentage of each Jordan products sold at Nike. And wow. So that was such a powerful scene. She fought for her son, and now the Jordan family is doesn't have to worry about money anytime soon. And that has helped so many Black families today who have gone to the NBA, athletes supporting their families, supporting their loved ones. So yeah, that was really powerful to see Black people getting their money as they should.
Yes. And speaking of money, I would say another theme was like capitalism, corporate America, tech, right? This was focused on Nike, which went from like a kind of like a small company to like one of the biggest companies in the world. And there definitely was a little capitalism in there, right? It's all about this deal, right? It's all about
money.
Making money. So that for sure was a threat, especially when we know now like how big Nike is. Like the Jordan deal really catapulted them, I'd say, into another stratosphere.
100%. Yeah. It's interesting all the talk about the draft and contracts, and we can't afford this person, we can't do this is not how deals work, this is not how contracts work. Money runs everything, especially in corporate America and these deals. So it was interesting seeing, the tension between Ben Affleck's character, the CEO, Matt Damon, being like, we don't have money for this, the board's gonna be mad at me. So it's like the risk of, going after Michael Jordan, being the underdog, and also balancing, the needs of the company and what's best. And obviously this risk paid off so well. But at the end of the day, they really just care about money.
Take some risks in business.
Yes, that's it. And kind of talk about corporate America. And just another big theme in this movie was just America. It was very, very
American.
Very American.
Very American. You just put a flag on the whole thing.
Yes. It was, I think this is where my critique of the movie starts a little bit. I think some of the points were just a little bit over the top.
Give us an example.
Yeah, so I just thought there were a couple, they mentioned the song Born in the USA in the movie. I think Jason Bateman's character, Matt Damon, they're talking about because the song just came out. They're like, oh yeah, Bruce Springsteen, Underdog, stuff like that. And then at the end of the movie, they played that song, and I just thought it was so jarring. I did not understand the choice. It didn't really make sense. Like, what does Born in the USA have to do with Michael Jordan and Nike shoes? I didn't get that. I just thought choice. yeah, I thought it was a strange choice. And also we were watching this in Greece and I was just like, what is this? Like it was just so over the top American.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, another example, because they were trying to work. Michael Jordan was thinking about picking Adidas for his shoe contract.
Which is a German company.
Yeah, Adidas is a German company. And like Matt Damon's character said he was making fun of the Germans and like making fun of their accents. It was saying that
awkward.
Yeah, it was so awkward in that, oh well, kind of insinuating that it was started by, like, it was associated with Hitler because the Adidas and the owner's name was Adolf. And I was just like, what is going on? I just thought there was
Wasn't
just
needed.
right. I thought there were just strange choices.
Yeah, they were trying to make it as pro-America as they could, which right. I don't think they needed to.
No, the movie and the story was strong enough without like being like, yeah, America best. I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't get it. There were some strange choices in there that were not necessary. Exactly. Yeah, so those are pretty much the main themes. Okay, Shelby, tell us some of your favorite moments from the film.
I mean, honestly, every time Viola Davis was on my screen, like literally, she crushes every role, and she was so good in this movie. And amazing. I also think Deloris Jordan was such a powerful person. So it was a great pairing of having Viola Davis play Deloris Jordan. But it was
perfect casting.
Perfect casting. I liked in the beginning when Matt Damon makes it all the way to North Carolina and comes to the Jordan household, and her husband's working outside, and he's like, oh, you're here to talk about Nike, about a shoe deal? Talk to my wife. Like, Deloris was handling business. And she takes Matt Damon to their backyard, tells them how this home, this land has had years of Jordan's history, and you just kind of felt the weight of that moment and like how big it is, right? They were slaves. And now they are here. They still own this home, and their son's about to enter the NBA draft and be one of the best players ever. Like, you could feel the weight of that and how important it was to their family. And so I just really liked that scene.
Yeah, I agree. I did really like every time Deloris was on screen. Anytime Viola Davis was on screen, I was loving it. And I agree. The first time when he met Viola, Matt Damon met Viola in North Carolina, I thought that was a really great scene. And another one that stood out was, of course, the phone deal at the end when Deloris was negotiating, saying that, no, my son needs a percentage of every single Nike product that has his name on it. And he was like, no, we can't do that. That's not how business works, all this stuff. Because it was unprecedented. So I understand where he was coming from, because he's like, this ask is insane compared to everything else we have done beforehand. But she was so determined. It was just, I know, we both were just so excited and getting chills because she set up Michael Jordan's life forever. And so many other athletes. It set the blueprint.
Yeah, I mean, look at LeBron James, Kevin Durant, all these stars with huge shoe deals at Nike. It's
right. Who are now also getting passive income because of what Deloris did. Like, she changed so many lives with that phone call, and you could feel it. So I love that scene. It's probably my favorite.
Basically, watch the film for Viola Davis.
Yeah. In conclusion,
I think that's she was in all of our favorite moments.
Yeah, she was so good in that movie.
So good. The highlight of the cast. Sure. Yeah. And speaking of the cast, I'd say in general, it was a really strong ensemble. You mentioned Jason Bateman was in the film, Chris Tucker, Chris Messina. Actually, Viola Davis's husband, Julius Tennant, played Mr. Jordan. So I love that. Whenever there's like a real life couple playing a real life couple, I'm like here for it. So I thought that was a nice little added touch to see them on screen together.
Yeah, that's so cute. It was definitely a strong ensemble. Marlon Wayans had a little
Yes, he had a
cameo.
cameo.
Chris Tucker was funny. I enjoyed his comedic moments. And another one of my favorite parts was in the beginning, they're talking about how Nike's a running company and how it's not known for basketball. And Chris Tucker was like, there's a reason why, you know, Black people don't like Nike. Black people don't go on runs. You know, he said something like that.
I think we broke out laughing in the theater.
I
That
know.
was funny and
He's like,
relatable.
right. He's like, Black people don't jog, something like that. It was
Screaming.
really,
We don't
really
do
funny.
cross country.
No, no. That has not changed. So yeah, Chris Tucker definitely had some good laughs. So I enjoyed him. Yeah, but I think, you know, some more critiques that we had was that there was definitely some over the top acting for sure.
Yeah,
People were like,
a little dramatic.
A little too dramatic. Definitely some corny moments as well.
Who did you think was the most dramatic?
I thought Chris Tucker was definitely over the top sometimes. Maybe that was just like his character.
It's
maybe
hard to know.
Yeah,
it's hard to know is that how the actual person acted, or was Chris Tucker doing a lot? Because I
yeah.
also felt like he was doing a lot.
He was at a 10. Like his voice was like loud and squeaky. I was like, what is going on? So maybe that's how the actual person was, but I thought that was a little much. And some of the lines that Matt Damon gave were just really corny. He was like, yeah, we're only just making a shoe for the greatest player of all time. And like kind of staring at the camera. I was like, what? It was like,
did you know he was the greatest player of all time? Or are you just saying that now?
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes like it felt like the writing was, you know, like would they have actually said that?
Little too nail on the head.
Yes, it was too on the nose. It's also like, would they have actually said that when this happened? No, they wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, just a shoot for the greatest player of all time. We didn't know Michael Jordan was gonna be who he was. So I just didn't, yeah. I was like, this felt very forced. Yeah.
I agree.
And not authentic. I was like, I don't think people are actually we're talking like that about Michael Jordan at that point.
I think some other over the top performances were Ben Affleck. Again, is Phil Knight that way? Like so eccentric, like laying on the couch, meditating. Like, is that how he acts in real life? Or was Ben giving a very dramatic portrayal?
Right.
And I'd say the same for Chris Messina, who played the agent.
Yeah.
David Falk, like so intense. And I'm like, maybe that's how agents are, but he was doing the most.
Yeah.
Like screaming on the phone, cursing on the phone. I was like, ooh.
It was a lot, definitely. So yeah. But overall the ensemble was good, like lots of stars.
The ensemble, yes. Yeah. Just some dramatic choices.
Yeah, some choices were not a little too corny for me. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good segue into our categories. So tell me, Shelby, like what did you love to hate in this film?
You know, I guess I have to say Phil Knight, so Ben Affleck's character. He was kind of like a weird CEO. So he would interrupt the meeting when they're pitching, and he was like, you don't have enough money. And so sometimes I'd be like, oh, just go away, Ben, go away.
Right.
But he also was kind of eccentric and fun at times. So he was like either like an annoying addition to a scene or a fun addition to a scene. Yeah. So I think that's why I was like love to hate. Sometimes it's like I don't need to see you anymore. Other times, oh, he's being funny.
Yeah. That's a good one. I think for me, I would say Chris Messina, David Falk. I think that he was funny. I enjoyed, when he was on screen. I thought he was really funny, entertaining. But yeah, like you said, he was a lot. He was doing the most. He was very aggressive, but a very fun, entertaining character to watch in a film. So I will say that.
He was my hate to hate. Just, it was too much. I know. Yeah. And what's interesting with our categories, I feel like sometimes it's easy to have a hate to hate. This movie was a little harder. Like, I don't feel like I hated him. It was just, he was the most intense for me.
Yeah, it was a lot to watch. And I guess for me, for my hate to hate, I know I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to say Matt Damon, but it's like a light hate to hate.
Not the protagonist.
I know. It's just, I understand what he was doing. Obviously, all of it worked out, but he was like disobeying everyone, spending too much money, like showing up at people's houses.
It was giving white entitlement.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I was like, there's no way a non-white man could ever do this. He
white
had
male entitlement.
Yes, he had like white man audacity to the max. Like I just was like, how is he doing all this stuff? Still has his job. Like if any other person did this, they would be fired immediately. So part of me was like, he's acting absolutely insane in this movie, and it all worked out for him. Like, yes, good for him. I'm happy that it did, but I was just like, it was too much. He was doing way too much, and there were no consequences at all.
That's fair.
None. So I didn't love how crazy his character was and how he was just, making a lot of mistakes, going against everybody. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. So, to our love to loves.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, shocker, Deloris Jordan, Viola Davis.
Yeah, mine
too. Don't need
to
dwell on it. We said it enough.
She's incredible. And we can throw in there Mr. Jordan as well. I loved his character.
Yeah, they were a really cute couple.
Yeah.
And
they support each other.
Didn't have like the biggest role, but he had like, to your point, like supportive lines and seemed very like kind and thoughtful.
Yeah, he was just always there, supportive of his wife, his son. I really enjoyed his character.
Strong father figure.
For sure, yes. Oh, I also really love the shoe designer who was like designing the Nikes and the Air Jordan. Yes, worked in the basement, created the Michael Jordan logo of him like doing the dunking. He was good comedic relief as well. Good supporting character. I liked him. And had some funny moments as well.
So overall, Laura, how are we feeling?
Yes, overall I did enjoy it. I feel like hearing this, you're probably like, Laura did not like this movie.
Laura, very negative.
But I did like it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was very entertaining, and I thought it was a unique movie that we don't get a lot of. And like, if you listen to this podcast, we love sports, so it was cool seeing this unique take on the sports industry. So I did enjoy it, despite a few critiques. Overall, I thought it was a very enjoyable film.
I agree. I think it was a solid sports film. I think it delivered on what a sports movie is. Like we said in the beginning, the beats, right? Underdog story. They beat the odds. They win at the end. The stakes were high. So I think it delivered on all of those quintessential beats that you're looking for in a sports film. And I hope we see more of these. We don't get many sports movies these days.
I agree. And I know that both of us leaving the movie were just like, Deloris Jordan. We were obsessed. I couldn't stop talking about it.
Literally looked her up. We were like just trying to figure out as much as we can about her. The backbone. As always, the Black mother just
right? I know,
holding everything together.
We always have to just step up, get things done.
Literally.
Yeah, she ran the show. She is the hero of the story. So thank you, Deloris Jordan, because the legacy of what you did is unbelievable.
Changed the sports world, the shoe world.
So many Black families' lives. Incredible. So props to you, Deloris.
Yes, props to you. And of course, Michael Jordan, it was cool to see, even though it wasn't about him, it was cool to see the start of like his brand and that rise.
Yeah. And how it changed shoes forever. It's so iconic.
It's
all
so
of us
popular
have Air
right
Jordans.
now that it's crazy to think that it could not have happened, and that
I know.
It was a big deal for him to sign with Nike at the time, because now it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So now on to our what to watch segment.
Woo! Where we give y'all tips on what to watch related to the title we discussed.
Yes, related to Air.
Yes. So, of course, we watch a lot of content, including like cast videos, social media, podcasts. So if you haven't heard or seen, Ben and Matt have been doing a lot of press promoting this movie.
Oh yeah. And that iconic video of that iconic video of Ben Affleck speaking Spanish. Have you seen that?
It's great.
Very funny. Check that out.
Didn't believe it. She thought it was dubbed.
I know. She was like, there's no way. And a lot of people are thinking that. They're like, there's no way he's speaking Spanish like that.
Why can't Ben speak Spanish?
You think J-Lo got him speaking Spanish?
I think so, yeah. And also in America, there's so many Spanish speakers. So I wouldn't be shocked.
That video is so funny.
He's
Check it
married to
out
a
if you
Latina.
yes. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out. Good for J-Lo.
It's great.
So yeah, they were doing a lot of press. Check those out. And have you listened to any of the podcasts featuring them?
Yes. I listened to the Bill Simmons podcast. Jason as well, our brother, is a big fan. And he did an episode with Matt and Ben. And it was really cool, since Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are best friends, to hear them talk about collaborating, talk about this movie. And they go over like history as well, like how long they've known each other, how they were rooming together in Boston, and like sharing credit cards and bank accounts. Like, if you want to learn more about their story, it was really cool. They go like very deep. And they also talk about the issues with being a celebrity and paparazzi. So it was fascinating, a fascinating concept. So if you want to learn more, as well as just hear about them talk about Air, check their episode out on Bill Simmons Pod.
Nice. Okay, that's a good take, a good little deep cut for us. I know I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, and see the movie. It's still out.
Yes, still in theaters.
Yeah, it was a very fun, enjoyable watch. You could see it. Would you say it's a family movie? There is some language. I will say that.
Every time Christmas Eve is on screen.
Yeah.
As the agent.
Yeah.
Talk.
But you can definitely see it with parents, grandparents.
Like, I would see that with, like our papa and like teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely you can see it, with other family members, other adults.
Family movie.
Yeah. It's a great, kind of underdog, uplifting story, but a unique sports film. So definitely go check it out. And yeah.
If you don't want to go to theater, it's actually going to be on Prime Video starting May 12th.
Perfect.
So exciting for those of you that want to just stay at home. You can watch it on Prime.
Yeah, if you got Prime, watch Harlem and Air.
I know, not us plugging two Prime shows.
I know.
Prime content.
And another thing you gotta check out if you're a Michael Jordan fan, you like the movie. We watched Last Dance all together on Netflix as a family. Iconic. Yeah, and plus it was happening during the pandemic, so it was just everyone was watching it together.
It originally launched on ESPN, and then Netflix got the rights to have it on service, which was genius because everyone was watching it and talking about
it. It was so good. I learned so much about Michael Jordan. So if you enjoyed this film, it gives more context, and you hear from Michael Jordan himself. So highly recommend The Last Dance.
Competitive nature, his drive, like to
win. And the memes from that too, and I took that personally. Iconic. So definitely recommend The Last Dance. And I know that Shelby's been tuning in
every day. The NBA
you gotta watch the playoffs.
French kiss.
Yeah.
So good this year. I mean, already been a lot of drama. The Giannis-led Bucks being out in the first round. Crazy. Somehow you have the Warriors and Lakers playing against each other in the second round, like with icons and LeBron and Steph. I mean, great playoffs.
I know,
so
we looked at tips, but
I know, because Laura, of course, with her Warriors. I was going to say me at the Lakers. Not really. I'm a Warriors fan, but I'm in LA. So we were saying we could try and see a game since they're currently playing against each other in the playoffs. But tickets for like nosebleeds are like $400. So no way. So not right now.
Probably won't see them in person, but check out the NBA playoffs. They're really good this year.
Great.
Well, that wraps up the episode on Air. Yes, go check it out. It was a very fun watch. And it was even more fun talking about it with you, Shelby.
Exactly. Yes, always great chatting with you, sis. We love sports, so
perfect movie for us. Yes. Well, make sure you leave a review, 5 stars, please. Much appreciated. We really appreciate your support. Follow us on Instagram at Sisters Who Watch. Yes, and leave us a comment to join the conversation. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Everything.